don't know, but that's gonna work.
We'll have to.
We're a little lopsided today. It's fine. It's natural. It happens. Hi.
It's natural.
I don't know.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to episode, I don't even know, 89 of 5 Minute-ish FriYAY. Hi, everybody. I'm Casey.
I'm Kara.
One of the Karas.
One of the Kara oranges.
And we are excited to be here together today. We have been in the office together all week.
I know, it's been sad.
I know. Or it's actually been longer than that because
Yeah, you were on a break.
I took a little hiatus last week, but I'm back at it now. So, and then this week we have dedicated a little time to learning because, you know, I don't know if you guys ever feel like this, audience out there in Facebook land. Do you ever feel like you just blink and everything about marketing and technology changes in an instant?
I feel about my body right now.
Oh, like you can't see it. She's got a cute little baby bump, Kara.
I go really far back.
Show your tiny baby bump. We're so excited for a tiny mini Kara. Hey Monica, thanks for watching. So, you know, the marketing world is ever evolving. And just when you get used to something, it's like, boom, the people in charge of things decide to switch it up on you and throw you for a loop. So it can be really challenging to stay on top of the trends. And that's really one of the reasons that we like to do these FriYAYs, is to share with you that information. Because it's our jobs as marketers to stay on top of that and keep learning and share back with you. Oh, Monica says congrats, Kara.
Thank you.
So that's what we've been doing this week. It's Ad World conference. This is a huge conference. It's usually in person. I think they've already scheduled one for in person in the fall,
October.
but they had a virtual version this week. And so we got the team tickets, and everybody took a little bit of time out of their week, except for Michael, and he's in his finals week of his master's program, so let him just be in that mode for the week. But we took some time to educating ourselves and listening in on some different presentations that we found interesting. And so we have some takeaways. We wanted to share with you some of our biggest takeaways from watching Ad World this week. So, the first takeaway we're going to share with you is from Kara McCann, our web designer. She watched a presentation by Ollie Gardner, if you've ever heard of him. He's pretty well known in the marketing scene. And he did a presentation about high IQ marketing, which basically just means that you're staying ahead of the trends. And her big takeaway, she said one of the things that he said that really resonated the most with her was that the way that we create is not always the way that we review. Mm-hmm. So when you, for instance, are creating copy for something in your marketing and you read it all the way through this way, he said to go back and to review it in reverse. Mm-hmm. And read it backwards, because it really makes you stop and think, does this really flow the way I originally intended it for it to? Yeah. Man, how I wish that, I had an erase button on a live.
Casey, if you haven't noticed, is taking on my pregnancy brain.
I'm very empathetic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sympathy pains, more like sympathy brains.
Sympathy brain. I like that. So just make sure, using this kind of thought process to make sure that your content really flows and it makes sense together. So when you're looking at it in a reverse, you're able to notice those places where you might need to connect the dots a little bit better, or just rearrange your content. And one of the other takeaways from that, she said, was he said to do the same thing, the same process every single time, just to help you be more efficient and effective.
I love it. I think it makes so much sense, especially because everyone's brain works completely different. I mean, my process for designing is not going to be the same as another person's process. So making sure that what I've created then makes sense for the next person and not just the situation, makes a lot of sense. So I like it.
A good example of this would be with like a website. So when you're building out an entire website, looking at building out the sub pages first, and then build the homepage based off of those other sub pages, so that you can really look at like how the content flows over and make all of those connections happen a little bit better. So you want to take number 2 from Steph?
Okay, so Steph watched a presentation about the iOS updates and the effects on advertising due to privacy lockdown. So if you're unfamiliar with the chatter, it is that the main concept you need to know is that users will not be able to opt in mobile device pixel tracking when using apps. So with Facebook's latest iOS update, advertisers are scrambling to figure out if their ads are effective, if it's going to be impacted. Facebook reps confirmed that they are looking towards protecting the privacy and changing the advertising landscape. I have a feeling this really has to do with all the lawsuits that Facebook is encountering right now, especially with the Supreme Court, for this very topic. I'm sure they're trying to scramble because I don't even think that court case has been finalized, right?
No, it hasn't. So this is huge in the marketing world right now. There's so much chatter about it behind the scenes of
Google's changing
how
stuff.
much are these platforms going to be able to change the whole face and future of digital marketing. Because what's really happening with this iOS update is that they are going to make it so that users can completely opt out from being delivered ads. So it's great from the consumer perspective, but businesses are using this, and
especially small businesses. Small businesses really benefit from this.
Yeah.
So much. I don't think the average person realizes this, but small businesses really, really benefit from it, because while everyone sees the big masses, not everyone's seeing the small businesses, and the small businesses are able to target more that particular crowd and niche. I personally like getting ads for things because number one, it seems to always be right on target for me. I'm either searching for it and then I found it, or it's things that like I think of but don't really think of, and then it shows it to me. So I personally like them, but I truly understand certain types of privacy. Like, I don't want all my information out there. I don't want 15 more phone calls in a day from random scammers. Please. I get at least 10 now. I'm pregnant. I worry about our kids one day and being with social media and stuff, because we didn't grow up with social media. It hit me, I think, in high school. So, I am understanding on this aspect, because all my friends always say, they're like, oh my gosh, but I get all of these ads or all these things. And I'm like, yeah, well, let me explain to you why that's actually a benefit for small businesses.
It's
especially
really
from a marketing
good for small businesses, because it allows us to play on a bigger level with those like big name players, those household names. It allows us to get our information out there in that kind of space. And so this iOS thing could be like very detrimental to small business advertising.
And honestly, I could see it affecting just some of the consumers in general. I know a couple of friends who have been really looking into some vegan skincare products, and I always recommend one of our clients, but it was ironic because one person I haven't really talked to, but she actually has to go vegan for some health concerns, and she got an ad for one of our clients. She never would even have known it existed if it weren't for, those ads. So,
yep, exactly. So let's move on to takeaway number 3. That one comes from me. The whole reason I bought tickets, I will just shout it out loud, to AdWorld. Never attended in the past, never really had any interest in it until now, but I saw that Seth Godin was one of the speakers, and I love him. I've read a lot of his books. I really the things he says just really resonate with me. So I watched one of his interviews, and I was absolutely captivated by his knowledge of AI and the technology that's coming into play in the creative world. So he was talking about AI tools that are in the works or are already being used by bigger companies that are doing things like writing the copy for their Facebook ads or just copy for their websites or blogs or whatever. And also, this one is, I mean, I knew that was happening a little bit, but like I didn't realize that graphic design is being affected by this as well. I know. Let me just give you a hug. I'm my graphic design girl. No one can ever replace your talents.
Thank you.
No robot has a chance against you. But there are all these technologies in the works that are going to be more mainstream in the next few years, and they're going to be available to small businesses like our clients. And so I was really captivated by that and just thinking like, how do we stay ahead of the curve, and how do we make sure that we're adopting those technologies into our practices? And
how do I become a conductor of this AI
graphic
design
you
thing?
know, like you can, it's kind of like all of these other tools, you know. So I compare it to like when Canva came out a few years ago and how kind of groundbreaking that was, how a lot of people were like, oh, this is going to allow people to just, you know, cut corners and whatever, and, you know, not hire graphic designers anymore. But there will always be people in my head, there will always be people who are just like, I don't want to dedicate my time to that. I need to focus on other aspects of business. Or they want to learn and DIY it like a lot of our clients do, and we can teach you how to do that.
I think also Canva only can get you so far. I think it's
you have to have a knack for it.
So I'm a big Canva fan. I love it. I love that the templates are so easy to use. It's great for my clients. I think it's really particular on your business. I think a lot of times it can only get you so far. So if you're only looking for a point A, you know, confirmation type situation, great. But if you're trying to get to point C, like branding, I don't really suggest to use Canva for logo or branding. I get that they do have some options. If you're in a really quick bind and you really can't afford it, totally understand, but never use that for longer than you have to. I highly recommend working with a designer.
And getting something that's unique to you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's different things that are definitely successful on there and that you can do, but again, it's all about timing. If you have the time to do it, by all means. If you don't, that's where I come in.
Exactly. So not as scary as we thought at first. At first I was like, oh, the alarm bells are like ringing off in my head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? How do we have to shift Kara's,
I'm like, okay, do I need to take a class to be this conductor of this AI business? Like, how do I...
What Seth said in his interview was, this is pretty much verbatim. He said, if you're an okay copywriter or an okay graphic designer, you need to make a shift and find something else that you're better at to focus on. And so you are neither of those. You are not okay. So let's, Teresa says, happy Friday, ladies. Hello, Teresa. Happy Friday to you, my friend. All right. What's your takeaway, Miss Kara?
All right, so I watched a whole bunch of content once, and as we all know, and we've heard it time and time again, video is the way the content is shifting. People grasp it much faster, they watch it much longer, they're much more intrigued. So we actually were able to, on a presentation, see kind of the breakdown of what truly works and what doesn't. So out of this little circle graph, which we'll probably just add into the comments, you know, the number one largest section, it looks like it's probably about 50% out of all the different categories, is product demos. People really love to fully see the product demos. Think of it as kind of like those conventions. People like to watch things in person. Same with a video. They really like to see how it works. So for instance, for beauty, you know, they like to see you putting it on, in use type of things. That's why YouTube has done so stinking well, especially with influencers, is having other people, you know, use the product. The next largest portion is social proof. So proof that the product is working. Proof that whatever you're selling is working. The next one is dynamic ads. So want to explain that a little bit?
Dynamic ads are a type of Facebook ad or any kind of social ad that changes depending on who is seeing it. So what that means is, like if I go on the TJ Maxx website and I click around and I put some stuff into my shopping cart, I put those items in there, and then I abandon that cart and I go over to Facebook, and then I'm scrolling through and I see a TJ Maxx ad with those items in it. That's a dynamic ad. So they've got the tracking, the pixel, and everything set up in their Facebook. And so when I go from one site to another, it tracks that and it delivers those same items and products that I've been interested in before. That's a dynamic ad. So it would look, if that ad might be served to you, but it would only show you what you've looked at on their site.
Mm-hmm. And those are those moments where a lot of consumers are like, ooh, that's creepy. But really, I don't know, I like it.
I like it. I don't know. I'm not weirded out by it at all.
The next one is lifestyle. So obviously a lot of women prefer lifestyle. Lifestyle photo shoots, even walking through an area and seeing how the dress flows on that girl, that kind of thing. The next one is Spokesperson Anchor. So that would kind of also be like influencer marketing, having someone who's a spokesperson. We've all seen those FabFitFun ads with the celebrities being a spokesperson for the box. Now, I've been at FabFitFun before they even started using those people as influencer marketing, but it does help, it does work. And then the last two are unboxings and then case studies. People aren't always super interested in case studies as much as they are social proof. I think it's more of a specific fit. Unboxings, right. People like them, but they like seeing the product in use better than an unboxing.
Yeah, so that is a really,
scroll back up. It's in this
section. I'm glad I have her around.
Michael.
All right, so like we said, Michael is in the middle of finals week for his master's program, so wish him luck, you guys. So he did not submit for this, but I watched a lot of presentations in the background this week as I was working here, as I was working at the store. And the other one that I found really fascinating had to do with lessons you could learn from big players, like big businesses in advertising. So this one was all about the social media advertising space and how those big players just test. And they run A/B tests on everything. And how they kind of go about it is that they start small with a smaller budget, less risk, and they test something and they see if it works. And if it works and they get a little revenue from that, then they throw that money into a bigger version of that. And then they test that and they see if it works. And if it does, then they dump that money back in, and it just keeps going and going and going. So you're doing
like investing.
Yeah, you're scaling up as you go, and you start with small wins, but you end with really, really big wins in the end. And you get to play on a much larger level than you ever thought possible.
Stocks and bonds and investing, and you're literally actually investing money into it. So,
right. So test everything. So if you're doing advertising campaigns on any of the social platforms or on Google or anything like that, you need to be A/B testing everything. Your copy, your creative, your audiences, all of that. Test, and scale up. So that's a lot of different stuff, you guys. If you've made it all the way to the end, give yourself a gold star or something, because that was a lot of different topics in one. But AdWorld was amazing. We still have access, so there were 3 stages every day that were just full from 9 a.m. until like 4 p.m. every day. Mm-hmm. So we have access to be able to go back and watch anything else we want to for the next month. So we'll still be learning and we'll still be sharing with you guys, because that's what we love to do around here. But thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, as always, drop them in the comments. We'll be happy to answer. And if not,
have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.